occasionally I get to do more of really what would be an introduction to hand launch flying. This is going to be for us. This is just targeted on our audience. We all fly. We all know RC soaring, so how does hand launch play in? Right now, who's got a hand launch glider? Just, okay, so about half of us. All right. The biggest thing, the best reason I can think of for the average person in our club to do hand launch is how, if you play in the hand launch game, you're going to improve your other soaring. There are things about hand launch that are so dynamic and part of the nature of that kind of flying that we don't get in other ways. You know, when we go flying F5J, we go real high, real early, and we go far, and we've got a lot of altitude to work with. The hand launch experience is going to teach, and does teach, in close, down low, many times, again and again, how to stay up in the air. And that's a great tool, a great thing to bring forward to any other kind of soaring. We're in the most micro kind of environment. It's our smallest gliders generally. I mean, there are smaller hand launches than these, but generally speaking, in gliders, they're our smallest airplane. So everything I'm thinking about in terms of this presentation kind of circles around that. When we play in hand launch, we've got these tasks, a much more complex set of tasks than in any other kind of RC soaring. We'll get a thing like fly 5 2-minute flights, or fly as many flights as you want, but only your last 2 flights are going to count for score. And it does things to you that make you think about what the airplane can do and what you can do. And it actually, even though it sounds like, oh geez, that's kind of trivial, right? Last flight and second to last flight. But can you read the air? Can you tell what's going to happen 5 minutes from now well enough, based on the cycles you've seen, to know what decision you make? Do you launch now, or do you take the time that you've gotten and sit down? And sometimes the decision will cost you a contest, or it'll cost you a couple places in the contest. My last launch at IHLGF, I made the fly-offs for the first time in a major for me, and it was very exciting. My last flight was one of those decisions, and I chose to go up. And I ended up with a 0, landing off-field in a tree, and for my second flight. And why did that happen? Because we were in a sync cycle, and I was too, like, go fever. Oh, I want to launch again. You know, I'm in the fly-offs, I'm going to launch again. And so I didn't pay attention to the conditions. Now, those kind of decisions have much bigger impact on an F3J contest or a TD contest where you're only going to get 6 launches total, or something like that. The first thing I guess I want to say about tactics in hand launch is a lot of people will go out and they'll chat and they'll bullshit and stuff like that, and you can hear the timer going. You know, you feel very relaxed. I know I've got to launch in 2 minutes. Well, one guy off in the corner there, he's got his hands in his pockets and he's looking around, and then he's looking over and seeing the people who are throwing and watching what they're doing. And then he'll put his airplane in the air and preview the entire area. And the very smart pilots will be watching him. And frankly, anybody who does this, anybody who takes the time, you know, uses that time to learn more about what they're going to be launching into when the window goes live, those guys can look at someone else's airplane and see a person shooting through, right, really fast. And they're not going up, and they go, that's lift. Because they know the guy just increased speed by 10 miles an hour. And the reason why he was doing that was thinking, well, I found my lift, and now I don't want anybody else to know, so he's pushing down stick. Well, the point is, some people might say, well, there's no point in previewing because everybody's going to know anyway. And then you're giving away the lift. and my orientation is, at least at my ability level, is I'd rather know where the lift is than guess. So the first tactic I advise to anybody who picks up a hand launch and walks out, say like this Saturday, and let's say we're going to fly 5.2s, is see if you can find your first 2-minute flight. Why not? Before the buzzer goes off. And then you'll go up, you'll go straight to it, and anybody who goes elsewhere, they're going to miss their first two. It just works that way. You know how it is. If you have the most bombastic launch, better than mine. Nobody here has that launch. Still, the worst sink will put your airplane down in a minute. Right? And when there's great lift, there's great sink. So going the wrong way in all of our kind of flying costs you time in the air. So that's my first suggestion for tactics. Second is when you walk out on the field and Buzz Averill is out there with you, get with your timer and agree. You're going to keep an eye on one of the best readers in the Southwest. You got to keep an eye on that guy, because that's like 3 hawks. You know, that's the kind of signal you want, information that you want. So how to watch is a trickier one, because if your airplane is trimmed, as mine often are, very, very, AFCG and very sensitive, it's hard to take your eyes off the airplane. Daryl Perkins, many of you may know who Daryl Perkins is, one of our top RC soaring pilots that ever have been. And he'll have his airplane over here, and he'll have one hand on one stick, and he'll be watching like this. And then I don't know many hand launch pilots that actually have that ability. I think that's a really cool thing if you can do it. But how to watch is, part of it is learning to be able to take your eyes, peel your eyes off your airplane, to look and see what else is going on. Not always will you get a timer who's going to do that work for you. If you can get somebody, it's like, you'll see me, I'll grab Buzz very often. I'll say, Buzz, would you time for me, please? Because I know he'll do the air reading, help me, and I know I'm not that great yet at peeling my eyes off my airplane, so he covers the rest of the sky for me and tells me when, Dennis is in lift, way back there, and he'll tell me whether he thinks I can get there. When to launch is an interesting thing, and maybe this is more, I guess this kind of fits with the TD form of soaring more than it does any sort of man-on-man event where, okay, we're all going, and you gotta go. But in TD, we all sandbag a little bit, right? We go like, that's a bad sync cycle. I need to adjust my battery. I've got to, I think I'll switch airplanes, and things like you see at the Southwest Classic. In hand launch, you're in a confined window, you're man-on-man. But many of the tasks we have cushions. Like last flight, second to last flight may have 4-minute maxes in a 10-minute window. You've got 2 minutes to just burn any way you want. And when to launch, I think if you don't know where their lift is, hold your cards. Wait, hold the airplane. Let someone else go. We tease each other sometimes in the competitive circuit. We'll pretend to launch, and see if we can get other people to go up and tell us what's going on in the air, if we're in doubt. And then you'll get the one guy who says, I know what I'm doing. I can see it. See you guys. And they'll launch. So you don't just launch every time just because you can. Sometimes it's better to hold on, find where the air is, and then go into it. Final tactic I wanted to talk about is you get high in these flights, and in hand launch now we're flying 3-minute, 4-minute, 5-minute maxes. It's not like the old days when people were flying 1-minute flights with an overhand toss. We've got discus launch. We've got 150 or more feet off our launch to play with, the tasks have been made more difficult. When you've got your time, you're on a 3-minute flight. You're 2 minutes in and you're high. Should you stay in that thermal? Heck no. You want to get down to launch altitude and upwind, preferably,